Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Yuri Boyka, an MMA fighter from Ukraine. He is Europe's top fighter, and holds the title of undisputed. Boyka is fighting in an unlawful match in an underground arena one evening. He doesn't let the opponent get a single hit on him, while the audience cheers. He knocks out his opponent midair after a brief one-sided struggle. Moving on to a Russian maximum security prison, the inmates fight for the enjoyment of the guards and the warden. Such matches appear to be pleasant to the outside world, but with the appropriate participants, they can quickly turn violent. The most lethal prisoner of all time is a man named Koshmar. He's so ferocious that the guards had to link his limbs and close his mouth, to keep him from hurting anyone outside the ring. Koshmar's opponent is half his stature, and can hardly hit him. He throws the man to the ground, breaking his neck, and then punches him in the face. When his face is distorted and covered in blood, the fight comes to an end. Koshmar is infamous for killing every opponent he fights, without compassion. He is more of a monster than a human being, and he feels no remorse for killing so many people. Boyka, on the other hand, is a good man outside of the ring. He hasn't had an easy life, as he was imprisoned for several years, and is a wanted criminal in Russia, but he has managed to put his past behind him, and strives to be a better person. He even assists a church in Kyiv, and is constantly conducting charitable activities. One day, a priest suggests that he consider pursuing another career. The priest has always been supportive of his passion, so the comment comes as a surprise to the boxer. Boyka responds that his talent is a gift from God, and that he is unwilling to give it up. He wishes to fight as a professional, rather than in an illegal setting. He is approached by his manager in the afternoon, who informs him he may now legally fight in official MMA matches. He has been invited to compete in the European fighting event in Budapest, if he wins a qualifying match. The day of the qualification match arrives. Boyka is prepared to give it his all, because this is one of the most crucial bouts of his life. Victor, a Russian, is his opponent. Boyka scores the first effective kick of the match. In the first few minutes, he demonstrates his defense abilities, repelling every single strike directed at him. His attack becomes easier as Victor becomes more frustrated. The judges on the sidelines are already impressed, so when he knocks Victor out with a knee to the chin, his qualification is confirmed. Everyone believes the contest is done, but Victor surprises everyone by standing up. He gets pushed down again seconds later, but he refuses to give up. Boyka is frustrated by now, so he strikes a third punch on Victor's face, knocking him out. Following his victory, the organizers invite Boyka to Budapest to compete in the league, which will open numerous avenues for him. The management offers Boyka a large sum of money, and tells him the next match is in 2 weeks. He notices Victor is in critical condition as he is leaving. He feels awful for inflicting such pain on him, and would never have done it if he had given up after the first knockout. He recalls the priest's words of wisdom, and prays for Victor's quick recovery. He wakes up at night with a nightmare, about killing an opponent in the ring. He goes to the manager the next morning, and inquires about Victor. To his surprise, he learns Victor died in the hospital yesterday night. Nobody is to blame, because they signed a pre-match deal. But Boyka understands in his heart that he is the cause of the death. When asked about Victor's family, the manager hands him a bag that used to belong to him. Boyka discovers a note from Victor's wife as well as a photograph of the two of them inside. Reading the letter, he can imagine the anguish his wife must have felt when she learned of his death. He decides to apologize to her, and ensure she is not having any troubles in her life. He understands his crime can never be pardoned, but he refuses to abandon the path of redemption, and informs the management of his desire to travel to Russia to meet Victor's wife, but the manager is very opposed to the notion. Boyka is still a criminal in Russia, and will be imprisoned if apprehended. He'll have to create a phony passport, which is a major risk, given how close he is to being a legitimate MMA fighter. He is aware of the implications, but he is steadfast in his choice. Next, we see Victor's wife, Alma, who is attending his burial. She is alone in life after his death and has no one to turn to. She and Victor are also in debt to a crime lord Zarab. He attends the burial and proposes Alma as his mistress, in order to pay off her debt. She is disgusted by his presence, but avoids making him angry. She just says she'd rather work hard and pay him in installments. Alma is the owner and resident of a community center. She and Victor paid for it with money borrowed from Zarab. Many orphans and individuals in need call this facility home. Boyka goes to greet her, but she is whisked away in a black car by a group of men. She turns out to be a waitress in Zarab's underground boxing club, who is extremely possessive of her, and treats her as though she is his possession. Boyka travels to the boxing club later in the day, and meets Alma. When he tries to speak with her, Zarab's people stop him and take him outside. Boyka wants to avoid a fight, so he calmly asks when she will be leaving work. The criminals attack him in response to the question, but they are punished for meddling with a professional fighter. When Zurab sees Boyka fight, he is impressed by his abilities. He's been looking for a good martial artist for his club, and would want to hire Boyka, who claims that he is not here to fight, but rather to meet the girl, and rejects Zurab's offer to speak to Alma on his behalf, refusing to let him meet her, and walks away. Zurab urges his people to keep a watch on him once he is out of sight. The next day, Boyka sneaks into the community center and meets Alma. He hands her Victor's letter, and inquires if she is being compelled to labor at the fight club. She responds she would want to work somewhere else but is constrained by her debt. She then reads the letter, and asks if he witnessed her husband's last battle. Boyka admits he was the last person Victor battled. He tries to explain her husband's death was an accident, but she refuses to listen to her husband's murderer. Following the exchange, he approaches Zurab, and pledges to fight for him. In exchange, he must forgive all of Alma's debts. The arrangement is Boyka must win 3 bouts against Zurab's pick of opponents. The thug also offers to protect him from the police and authorities, as he knows he entered Russia with a fake passport. Alma meets with Boyka the next day to inform she doesn't need his sympathy. She urges him to return home, but he claims he's only doing it for himself. Following that, he goes to a nearby gym to train for the matches, but he is bullied by a man. When the man continues to poke him, Boyka slams him down with a single kick. The day of the first combat arrives. Boyka has an easy encounter against a local fighter. The opponent lands a few feeble kicks, but is exposed as inept, in the face of someone as skilled as Boyka. He knocks him down and is about to throw the final punch, when he comes to a halt. To his relief, the opponent acknowledges defeat, allowing him to avoid further harm. Alma brings him drinks after the battle. He asks whether she is familiar with a decent local gym, because the one he is attending does not meet his criteria. Alma pauses for a moment, before inviting him to use the gym at her community center. He trains there for a few days, and she eventually grows accustomed to his presence. Boyka's next match is a 2-on-1 against 2 brothers. He is taken aback, because he was never informed of the rules. Zurab brags it is his arena, the fighters must follow the regulations. Boyka fights both brothers at the same time as the match begins. When he tries to battle one, the other attacks, making it difficult for him to concentrate. Despite this, he manages to shove one aside, and knock the other down. It's a level battle, until Boyka is kicked in the lower back, which is already damaged. The anguish is excruciating, until he notices Alma in the audience and decides to battle on. He then kicks both of their asses, and earns a double knockout. The crowd screams in applause. No one expected him to win this match as well. The next day, Zurab approaches Alma and attempts to flirt with her. He accuses her of sleeping with Boyka after she rejects his advances. He further riles her up, suggesting her husband's death was not an accident. Boyka intended to murder him. She pretends not to believe him, but his remark bothers her. Meanwhile, Boyka's Ukrainian manager calls him back right away, since he has a press conference for the bout in Budapest. Boyka requests it be postponed, because he only has one more fight to win. When he gets to his room, he finds Alma waiting for him. She begs him to tell her the truth about her husband's death, and he begins telling her about all the difficulties he has had in his life. He admits that the first half of his life was miserable, and the match against Victor was his only shot at a better life. He gave it his all and won, but Victor's death stole a larger part of him away. He understands that accepting his assistance will be tough for her, but he begs her to let him do what he must. Boyka faces Igor, Zurab's greatest fighter, in the last match at night, who has been teasing Boyka since the day he arrived. Igor is especially enraged at Boyka because he jeopardizes his status in the group. He unleashes all of his rage on him, attacking him repeatedly. He manages to put up a good fight, focusing on Boyka's lower back. When Boyka lands a double mid-air kick on him, the fight takes a different turn. He then beats Igor black and blue, causing him to bleed heavily, till he passes out. With this, he wins the tournament, and pays off Alma's debt. Zurab, on the other hand, had expected and planned for the outcome. He stops Boyka, and says he must battle one more man, in order for their pact to be terminated. Boyka has only a few hours until his meeting in Budapest, which is critical to his career. But he refuses to leave without saving Alma. As a result, he requests the manager to postpone the fight until the next morning, and prepares to face the final champion. Koshmar, the beast who has fought and murdered all his opponents in the Russian prison, is the opponent. Because of his vicious nature, he is led into the arena in shackles. The struggle begins, but Boyka is already exhausted. He tries his hardest, but his attacks appear to do little to no effect to Koshmar, due to his physique. The beast hits him numerous times, before kicking him in the jaw. Boyka is knocked down by the crash, and struggles to get back up. He recovers his strength and stands up seconds before losing the fight, only to be slammed to the floor again. When Koshmer is almost certain he has won, Boyka catches him off guard, and kicks him back. The fight then shifts to his favor. He keeps the beast in an arm lock, before kicking him out of the ring, shattering his right arm. With this, he ultimately wins the duel, but Zurab refuses to let go of Alma. While attempting to flee with the female, he orders his minion to assault Boyka, who is at his lowest point, when he notices Alma being dragged outside. He attacks the guards, and murders them all with fresh zeal and rage. Finally, he grabs Zurab, and throws him to the ground. Boyka gets shot in the process, but his anguish overpowers his agony. Zurab is eventually strangled to death. Alma tries to assist Boyka, but he stops her, and asks for her forgiveness. The police arrive and arrest him. Before being dragged away, he asks Alma again if she forgives him, but she does not respond. Boyka is then returned to a Russian prison. Alma pays him a visit a month later, and informs that he has been forgiven. Boyka is relieved for the first time in months, despite the fact that his desire to become a professional boxer fell through. Later, we see him competing in the prison's arena, retaining his championship as the undisputed. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.